Leftists, they decided to celebrate George Floyd Day, the anniversary of his death, the one you're on. And you might think I'm being a bit facetious or something here. No, if we can get the first one up here. This is in Portland. They're literally setting off fireworks to celebrate
seems
the death.
a bit strange to me that they're celebrating his death with fireworks, just like it's some kind of positive event.
Well, I suppose for them it is, because I mean, what were George Floyd's political beliefs? How did he feel about unions? How did he feel about corporate taxes?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. He's just a symbol for the left to campaign on for them, even though they campaign on racial justice, even though there was no racist component to his death, so it's complete fiction. But they love their fiction, and they're celebrating their fiction here. God knows what his family makes of this, but whatever. So firstly, we're going to go through some of the British cringe of them celebrating George Floyd's anniversary death, and then we're going to go back to America because they've been doing so much more insane stuff. So the British stuff here, so first, as we mentioned previously, Norwich City Council celebrating his death by saying they will light up Norwich City Council's building with purple because Black Lives Matter. Made no sense. If we go to the next one, they're not the only ones. The London Eye also did this, and then the next one is just Liverpool also doing this. You can see it lit up there. And then the next one is the worst one of all of these, which is Rochdale. Rochdale decided to do this with a war memorial. They lit up a war memorial to celebrate George Floyd's anniversary of his death.
Doesn't have anything to do with the memorial itself. I
Well,
don't know why they would choose to do that.
You know, the city halls and all that, it's got nothing to do with them. As we mentioned, it's the anniversary of Lee Rigby's killing and the Manchester Arena bombings, but they're not important. This is far more important for the people of Britain. But the fact you do it on a war memorial for St. George, like,
It's kind of rubbing it in people's faces a bit, isn't it?
like this is a memorial to people who died in the First and Second World Wars and presumably the subsequent wars Britain has been in, and you're like, yes, this is the symbol for St. George. It's really gross. If you can scroll down, we can actually see the tweet they posted out and then deleted because they realised how awful this was, presumably. Yeah, as you can see there. So they say here, Rochdale is a proud and diverse community. We stand shoulder to shoulder with those fighting against racism, discrimination and persecution, the council added. Rochdale. People who might not know, Rochdale is one of the towns most known for being a grooming gang hotspot, the Rochdale child sex abuse ring being exactly this. Being proud of their diversity, not really something I'd want to talk about if I was Rochdale Council. And saying you're fighting against racism, white victims of racism? Probably not, because if you just go through this, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but everything in Britain always leads back to grooming gangs, apparently. So in here, this is the scandal. 9 men were convicted. 47 girls were identified as victims. 8 of the men were British Pakistani. 1 was an Afghani asylum seeker. Every goddamn time there's an asylum seeker, isn't there? A former detective constable who was investigating the grooming gangs, Margaret Oliver, resigned in 2012 in disgust of the handling of the cases by the police. Sarah Rotherbaum, I don't know how to say her last name.
Robotham, I think.
Robotham, yeah.
Yeah.
The sexual health worker who first recognised patterns of child abuse in the community and thought to bring these claims to police attention was made redundant in 2014. And then in 2015, Greater Manchester Police have apologised for its failure to investigate the child sexual exploitation allegations more thoroughly between 2008 and 2010. I mean, the police here are saying, yeah, we were wrong. We didn't do our jobs. So, leftists who are denialists on this whole topic, I'm not even going to waste my time with you people. You're pathetic. But anyway, that's what the British cringe was about. I mean, Rochdale doing it of all places, and then on a war memorial, just everything about it is really wrong. But let's go to the United States. So this is the George Floyd Autonomous Zone. So the square around, the intersection where he died between Cup Foods and the other stores became known as the George Floyd Autonomous Zone. You can see where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
What people got shot. So if you go to the next one here, this is just the special instructions for white people. I wonder if you can read some of these while I take a drink.
Sure. This is where George Floyd took his last breath under the knee of Minneapolis police officer under the watch of 3 other officers. And they say down below, for white people in particular, decenter yourself and come to listen, learn, mourn, and witness. Remember you are here to support, not to be supported. Be mindful of whether your volume, pace, and movements are supporting or undermining your efforts to decenter yourself. What does that even mean?
Just white people, you're not welcome here, essentially. And it goes on, but it's essentially the same sentiment for each one of those points. We'll fight racism. Why? By singling out white people as being people who have special rules, who can't just be people in this area.
You've got to control the volume at which you talk at and the pace at which you walk.
Know your place. It's literally what this flyer says. Anyway, so what's happened there? Well, some news crews went down for the memorial service of a 1 year anniversary, and there was a drive-by shooting at the same time. I'm not joking. So you can see the footage here. Everyone's scarpered. We're not going to play the footage because of problems. But there's some guy giving a news report, and then all of a sudden there's 20 to 30 gunshots in the background, and everyone scarpers. Because
the guy who's just stood around kind of just watching. Everyone runs away, and then there's just one guy just like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
this guy.
He just doesn't go to it. If you listen to the hero, there were gunshots going off right now as he's walking around. Yeah.
There he is. Look, yeah, all the gunshots go off, and he kind of just stands there while everyone runs away.
Balls of steel.
Yeah, there's a guy crawling on the ground, and he's just like, nah.
So I'm not going to knock the guy crawling on the ground. I do that. I'm not getting shot.
He's just like, I'm not going to indignify myself by going on the ground.
Yeah. But literally the anniversary, all the news crews are there, live reporting, and there's a drive-by shooting. Not the only one, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But if we go to the next one here, there's also journalists mentioning that they're having their phones smashed for taking pictures of where the gunshots landed. So there's some guy reporting here, George Floyd Square, very quiet again now, but a fellow reporter just had her phone smashed because she took photos of a storefront hit by a bullet. So one of the storefronts hit by a bullet, she goes to take a picture as a journalist, someone smashes her phone.
So a journalist doing a journalist job, and people smash their phone for that, apparently. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can you justify that?
BLM, bunch of black nationalists, they'll do whatever it takes.
Did you hear about the cup foods outside, just outside, you can see in the picture there, the employees were complaining about how they've lost loads of business because of having all this stuff outside. So I dread to think what the people who live around this actually are dealing with at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, not just because of this memorial site, the autonomous zone and all that. There's been a bunch of shootings, but I'm not going to go through all of them. But the worst one I saw just reading about it was the next one, if we have this here. So this is this guy here. He was given 49 years in jail for murdering a pregnant woman and then her baby dying afterwards. So there have been 3 homicides. Sorry, there have been 3 shooting homicides in the zone since it was set up. And this is the one where this guy, he shot a 28-year-old mother, and her unbirthed baby was then saved, was prematurely birthed in the hospital after she was pronounced dead, and died a couple of months later. So he was charged with 2 homicides there, one for a mother and one for her baby. There we go. That's not of interest to BLM. I love how they keep setting up these autonomous zones and the exact same thing keeps happening. Lots of black people keep getting shot. And they just don't care. Because they don't care about black lives. They care about black deaths. That's all they're interested in.
They're even trying to cover up the media reporting on it as well. Like, saying that it's racist to report on black crime. But surely that should be a cause that they would be concerned about.
No. Doesn't help Marxism. So,
they
don't care about black lives. They only care about black deaths. Black bodies. Black and brown bodies, as they like to say. So the next thing here is just the State Department. So this was a leak, and we weren't sure whether this was true when I first saw it. So exclusive, leaked State Department memo indicates official support for BLM agenda. Now that Biden's in office, I guess everything's off. The department supports the use of the term Black Lives Matter in messaging content, speeches, and other diplomatic engagements with foreign audiences to advance racial equity and access to justice on the May 25th and beyond. They write the word beyond in the memo in italics to make it stand out, saying that we're not just doing this for the anniversary, you're going to keep promoting BLM around the world. State Department. So, openly partisan.
So they're trying to propagandize
the world.
The world. Thanks, America.
Hate America sometimes. Well, leftist American government. We encourage posts to focus on the need to eliminate systemic racism and its continued impact. You notice their racial equity. I mean, this isn't even like pretense of like, oh, we stand for justice or something like this. No, it's racial equity, racial justice, not individual justice, because they've got no interest in that. I mean, not to mention this is obviously propagandizing on BLM, Marxist organization, but also the fact that you're propagandizing on the death of George Floyd, saying, oh, this is because of racial justice and all the rest of it. A point which is just BS. It's not true. There was no racial element to George Floyd's death. Everyone's just been lying about this in the left because it advances their agenda. So if you go to the next one, this turned out to be true, and you can see here US embassies in Spain, Greece, Colombia, and more flying BLM flags on the anniversary there. And it looks ridiculous. Like it looks like something out of a meme, like some 4chan would do or something.
It looks quite out of place in the with like the nice palm trees and then just Black Lives Matter and on the huge buildings as well. Like it. I don't know. It looks a bit. 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 It loo
And it's just unbelievable. I mean, could you
don't know
imagine?
why.
I mean, remember the screeching endlessly about, like, Trump would say, "Oh, we need to, praise the American flag," or I don't know, we need to make patriotic education. But I've been using state resources to propagandize the world into BLM, a Marxist organization, and also for racial justice, something antithetical to individual justice. Disgusting.
These foreign embassies don't even have any other like flags there. They don't even have their like home country's flag or the American flag for that matter.
I think they do have the American flag. You can see the last
Well,
one.
in that last one,
'Cause it's
yeah.
an
But
embassy. But I do love the idea of, like, how many black people are in Cambodia? God knows, like 3. Like, they're probably all anti-BLM as well. So anyway, but no one beats Portland. Portland, whenever there's a celebration to be had, they really outdo it. So they decided to celebrate George Floyd's death by rioting, because I mean that's all they can do. So this is Andy No showing here, and I'm going to use Andy No as a great source on this, and you should follow him wherever he is posting. And this is them. They set fire to some dumpster and then pushed it into the the Justice Building. So it's the courthouse that they've been attacking for like 4 years now. I mean, a skyscraper they've been trying to destroy for 4 years. But when Trump tries to defend it, he's sending in stormtroopers. Biden's lads here, they're not stormtroopers. Do I even have to go over this? It's so pathetic. But they tried to burn that down, and then the next one here is them launching fireworks at the police. So they scuffled with them and then just started throwing fireworks at the police officers here, who are defending law and order. Wonderful people. God, I love that Antifa is just anti-fascist, folks. I mean, it's just so pathetic. And it's no small crowd either. It's not like there's 12 people or something. Again, if you wouldn't have this many police officers there if it was just 12 people. Go to the next one. So the next one's just showing there's like loads of people there. There are other shots showing there's even more people, all in Antifa Black Bloc, and Antifa BLM basically being the same movement at this point, especially within Portland. So that's why I'm connecting the two, obviously. And then if we go to the next one, they also smashed up a Starbucks. So they're just spray painting all over this place. See the windows are smashed up. And then this nice chap who's just trying to help the neighborhood throws in a firework to try and set fire to the Starbucks. Pretty sure this Starbucks as well, they've attacked it in the past.
I recognise it, yeah.
And above is loads of families. And they've tried to set fire to it before as well. And if you set fire to the Starbucks, you kill the families above. Perfectly happy to kill tens of people, families just living in their houses, because F capitalism.
They obviously don't actually care about the people they're supposedly liberating. Like they've just been terrorising Portland, and it's appalling that it's still going on. Like, how can they not just prosecute people, send in the Fed as Trump was going to do? And
I mean, it really reminds me of people should look this up. The anti-communist song that I sent you earlier called "Ain't I Right?" And it's just the lyric in there. Your concern is not to help the people. Like, if people suffer, you consider that a gain. Absolutely. I mean, this guy is literally attempting to burn down a building with people above it. They've done this previously, and they know, and they don't care. They just don't care. So we go to the next one as well. A little new thing. I don't think I've seen this too often with them. Smoke bombs. So they start bringing smoke bombs to these things. So usually you see how they have umbrellas. There's no rain, so it's not about that. They're not using the same tactics as Hong Kong protesters to get rid of tear gas or something. No, they hold those umbrellas out. So then, like, the windows are here, right? And I'm an Antifa scumbag. And I've got a hammer and I want to smash the place down. But I don't want you to take pictures of me smashing it.
So they use it to cover...
Yeah. So then I smash it and I run off. But they've started using smoke bombs now to cover themselves up. Which, perfectly normal things to happen in a normal place.
Antifa are evolving, apparently. They've discovered smoke bombs.
So the next thing here is just some jewelry stores that they've also done the same to. This is all celebration of George Floyd here. This is what he would have wanted, I'm sure. And then there's also some journalist who goes down there and has been documenting these things. I mean, hats off to the journalists who go down to these places and document it. It's amazing that you do. And continue to do after so many years as well. And so little listening by the government. But they slash this guy's tyres. So he's getting back in his car and they slash his tyres because he's daring to videotape them doing what they're doing, which is breaking the law to try and bring in a Marxist revolution by bringing too much chaos to the United States. Hats off to the guy for being there. It's horrible that's happened to you. Anyway, so then Andy Knows also documented some of the people, the what kinds of people do this thing, and I've taken out two that I thought were the most interesting. So this is the first one here. If you can scroll back up just so I can read it a little bit better. So Emily Rose Hall. Emery, weird name. FKA, so Jordan Hall, 30, was charged with criminal mischief and escape at violent Portland Antifa riot. The transsexual former BitPay lead developer is a well-to-do from a family in Roswell, Georgia, and works as an engineering manager with weed company. Rich kid. Like, if you scroll back down to the images, I mean, you can see the chapess, I can't remember which one they were, but also just the fact that they're a lead developer in some rich organization, well-to-do. And, they go out to Portland and break things, cause rioting, because F capitalism. And then the next one here, this is just the last one. This is Jared Baylor Humber, 21, a self-described journalist, was arrested in Portland at the Antifa riot. He's charged with 7 felonies. I reported previously about his ties to Antifa Ted Wheeler death threat video that caught the attention of the FBI. This is something I believe you actually did some digging into, or it might be one of the other writers.
I remember looking into it, yeah. Wasn't there a video of some weirdo who was in like makeup or something threatening Ted Wheeler?
Because he's not a full-on Marxist, and therefore
Yeah,
he's an enemy of the people.
You couldn't get someone more woke than Ted Wheeler in an elected office, and he's still not good enough, apparently.
In case you're wondering, I wonder if we... I think I've got it on the shelf there. I don't know if people can see it on the camera, but Unmasked, it's Andy No's book about Antifa, in which he's been documenting them for God knows how long now, and that's his summation of them. And this is something he mentions in there that doesn't really get too much fleshed out, but is a great example of, that there are journalists who come down there, and these journalists are there, they take videos, but then they just join in, and it's like, rather than you're not a journalist then. If you're there to document the thing, fine, whatever. I don't care if you're left-wing, right-wing, whatever. If you just document the thing, then yeah, okay. But if you're there and then you're committing felonies, I mean, helping people out with their death threat videos, no, you're an activist. And the type of activism you're engaged in is terrorism. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, attacking the government, trying to destroy the government for political goals. Yeah, that's terrorism, through and through. So, Antifa terrorists. What did they do for George Floyd's anniversary to celebrate? They just did what they always do, burn down Portland.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.